Hi everyone, welcome back to Building Connla. Let's get this working. There we go. Okay, so in the last stream, I started with nothing. I have a clean Laravel app, and I ended up with this demo that uses undocumented Ghost APIs to upload a new theme that I had in storage. I planned a lot of the work I want to get going, and I also categorized what needs to be done for the MVP and what can be done after we get the first users in the platform. So I'm gonna filter by MVP, and we have a blocking the themes that are blocking development, which is that as we saw yesterday, the endpoint to get the themes that instance of Ghost is using is blocked right now. I had to go into the source of my development version to unlock it and to try it out. And there are others, like all integration endpoints are blocked, but I don't plan to build the integration endpoints until after the MVP, so that's not an issue right now. So what I wanted to do today is to get the database working. I have outlined more or less what needs to be done, because I want to get users in the platform as soon as possible. And the GitHub things, well, I can find a workaround around that. Like maybe I can let the users upload zip files until I build the GitHub module. But these two, the database module and the frontend module, are absolutely required for someone to use the platform. So I decided I will shift priority. I was initially planning to work on the GitHub module or even on Stripe or something like that, but I'm going to do this now. If you didn't make it to the yesterday's stream, or just tuned in late, I'm building a Ghost theme marketplace with theme distribution, which means that it's a platform where you can buy Ghost themes, and then the author, as soon as a new version is released, the new version is pushed automatically to all the blogs that have purchased that integration, that theme. So they don't have to upload it now. Right now, the only way to update a theme or get a theme in Ghost is to get zip the theme, go to design, click on upload a theme, and drop the zip here. So right now, the Ghost theme are working on an undocumented API that allows you to do it, and I thought, let's get the platform ready, and as soon as they tag a new version with that API available, I will launch this. That's why there's a blocking for the endpoint to upload a theme already works. It works in every Ghost instance for that has updated in a few weeks ago, but the endpoint to detect the themes that a block has doesn't work yet. Like the code is there, but it's locked because it's already still in active development. So anyways, that's what I'm building. That's what we are going to do today. Let's get to it. I also, under the scenes, when I finished the stream, I made unit test cases for the code that we're working on, because from my own experience, um, watching someone code and take decisions and everything, it's fun, but watching them make tests can be a little bit boring. From tests, I wanted to make sure the seed, that is a string with a colon in the middle that makes me that helps me generate authentication, the Laravel validation, the one that it's used on requests, so that it verifies that the key is indeed passed, and that it uses these regex that just ensures it has a colon, something before and something after. Then it explodes it, so then we are sure this code isn't going to fail. So let's get to the database. Let me close some things here. And as always, if you have any question or you want to maybe just chat or something, you can send me a message. I have a chat open here, so I will read it and talk about it as we go. Let's get started again. So PHP artisan, let's work first on the existing user stable, which has the ID, name, email, an email verification thing, a password that will be hashed in the database, obviously, a member token so users don't have to log in every time, and some timestamps like created at and updated at. Let's see if that's everything we need. ID, name, email, password. The Stripe thing, I'm going to leave it right now because that's something we will add when adding Stripe, because that the package I'm going to use automatically tells you what to add, and I'm not going to be deploying this until it's more or less ready, so I shouldn't have to worry about just updating the migrations instead of creating new ones. Okay, so that's what we already have, and then we have some has many relationships that we first need to create the database they are on. So let's get to the themes table. Make me model theme -m to create also migration. There is a convention in Laravel, if you don't know this, to name the model as the singular resource, and also then Laravel then guesses the plural of the model is the name of the table. So anyways, we have an ID, we need a name, which will be a string. We need the owner ID, that's the ID of the user that owns that theme, the one that created it. Table, this is a big integer because it has to match these big increments, and it actually needs to be unsigned, just so we can create the relation later. So this is going to be user ID. I could actually name it admin or owner ID, but the problem with that is that there is a Laravel convention to just name the name of the model and ID. So if I were to change that and call it owner ID, I would need to add more boilerplate code that Laravel would otherwise detect automatically. And also no one is going to look directly to the database anyways, so it doesn't really matter. Next, a source. That's a string I use because right now we want to pull themes from GitHub or maybe from local or something. So this is what our code is going to use to guess where to connect to get the source. And also I could hardcode this to GitHub, but from my own experience on building apps that connect with GitHub, the day one that I launch this, I'm going to receive at least 5 messages saying, does this work with GitLab? Do you have Bitbucket in the roadmap? can I use this with another Git integration no one has ever heard about? So I want to keep this open so in the future I can maybe use other platforms. So source table, then we need an identifier. We know where to look in the source, but we need an identifier to to find out to find it out in the source. I normally for GitHub use the full repo name, like your username slash name of the repo, but you could also use the ID or maybe other thing. And I'm not going to make this unique because it would make sense like only one person can have the GitHub repo, otherwise it would be like weird. But there can be different sources we have the same identifier, so just in case I prefer to check that out manually. Then the timestamps that are automatically added, and we will leave that for later because we need instances and purchases. And also we need to make this relation, so we do that by using the foreign that says that user ID I love this Fluent API references ID on the users table. And then when the user is deleted, if someone removes themselves from the database, I want all the themes to also be gone, because else I would have trouble when I would run into errors. So this tells my database, my SQL in my case, that this user ID is an references an ID on the users table, and when that user is deleted, we want all the themes that belongs to a user to be also gone. So this is done. Let's move on to the instances. Instances reference ghost flows that people connect to the platform. So let's make an instance model, and this should also create a migration with the plural. So we have an ID, we need an im, we need the ID of the user that owns that instance, which is going to be again an unscientific integer to match the format of the ID on the users table. This is going to be named user ID. I prefer to keep the IDs together for no specific reason. I just like to do it that way. So we need the URL to the instance, table string URL. There's a chance that we run out of characters in the URL, but it's really high, so I'm going to keep it that way, and if I ever run into an URL that is like crazy long, I will come back and update it. I'm going to make this unique because ideally there can only be one instance with each URL. If we would have two instances with the same URL, they would be duplicated. So next, a token, that's the secret we use to create tokens. So ideally I would hash this, but I need to access it later, so I maybe keep an encrypted value just in case, and let no one access that value even if they check on the database. So then we have timestamps, which is already in, and the many themes purchases, we are going to do that now. But before, whoops, we need to make the relationship user ID references an ID on the users table, and once it's deleted, this should be gone too. Okay, so let's migrate to make sure there aren't any issues, and there is one that I didn't configure the database. So let's just name it Connla. I will create a database with a little alias that I have that just runs MySQL local shell and creates a new database. So now this should work, and it does. Our database is created. So now let's start adding the relations. First we have I will take care of this later. First we have the easy one, which is that a user has many themes. So I'm going to make a themes function, and here I just return this has many themes. And here I can specify a lot more things, but I used the defaults before. Remember how I used a user ID instead of owner ID? So this should take care of everything. Just this line. So now if I open well, I don't have models, but if I open a Tinker shell and let's leave the demonstrations for later, actually, because I would have to create some mock models. Okay, so has many themes, and themes I didn't add it here, but has one user. So a theme has an owner, and again I could call this function or this property owner, but that would have I would have to specify a lot more things, so it's easier to keep it simple and remember that the user that a team has is the owner. Or I could make an alias, but this way it's simpler. So return. If you don't return here, you can run into really weird errors, especially when you see Laravel Nova, that is an admin panel. So that last time I checked, it didn't account for this thing. So if you didn't return here, you had like a really deep error you have to dig into the core to solve. That's a product right there. So this has one, actually belongs to a theme belongs to a user. And this should also take care of everything for us. So now that that is done, let's check if we have any low-hanging fruit here. We also have that our instance has one user because it belongs to someone. So user return this belongs to user class. I could also, like, I'm not importing user because it is in the same directory, so PHP should take care of that automatically because it's in the same namespace. If this were, for example, app/models and the others were on the app namespace, I would have to import them, but they aren't, so PHP takes care of that. So that is done. And also a user has many instances, or can have many instances. Return this has many instances. Okay, that's the easy stuff. Let's get into the hard one. we have a many-to-many relationship. What this is that a theme can have many instances, because I could purchase an instance, a theme from an instance, and then another user can purchase it from their own instance. But also an instance can purchase many themes. So I need to use a many-to-many relationship, which uses something called a pivot table. Let me pull in the Laravel docs and explain it for you. So eloquent relationships. Many-to-many. Okay, so to do this, the database needs an extra table that is normally called the name of a model and the name of another, that just contains an ID, the ID of the first model and the ID of the second, and this is for relating it. You can you can name this table as you want. In this example, is named, this is the like the default convention, but in this case it makes sense to name it somehow else, because I want to take care of that table in which you can add, like, that's a relationship table, that's a pivot, a table that serves you to get another row, and you can add extra elements to that pivot. So I want to use that pivot to represent purchases, because that's what that's what how themes and instances are related. So an instance has many themes because it purchased it, and themes have many instances because they were purchased. So let's I need a user. Let's make model purchase m. This is not going to be a regular model but a pivot. I will get into that later. First, let's get the database going. So here I need an ID. I need unsigned big integer for the theme ID, and I need another unsigned big integer for the instance. Note how I'm designing this so that instance can purchase many themes instead of users can purchase many themes, because developers might have to, like, you want to use this theme in your blog, great, pay us. You want to use this theme in another blog, maybe you want to have it available to all their blogs, maybe you want to have them available to one blog, and then if you want to have it again in another blog, you have to pay again. That's doing it. If we do it this way, we leave it up to the owner of the theme, instead of like it being a design decision that can be changed. So these are the required fields for a pivot table, but we are going to add some more that I have documented here. We need a price. How much did the user pay? I normally store this in cents, because that US dollar cents, because that saves me all the hassle of dealing with currency conversion and having floating point numbers and all that. So this is done, this is done, this is done, this is done. Stripe ID, the ID of the Stripe transaction that was that purchase, that I'm going to add even if we don't use it yet. So table string Stripe ID, and it should be unique, but I'm not going to make it unique, actually, and the timestamps. And I've marked here this is a pivot. Okay, so let's see how this would look for a theme. A theme can have many instances. So this is return belongs to many. It is a belongs to many relationship in two sides. So I need to do belongs to many in in the roles, and hold up a second. Okay, sorry for that. Anyways, we have to do a belongs to many in the two parts. So return this belongs to many. Instances, and then on the instance side use themes, return, don't forget to return this belongs to many theme. So we have to specify the name of the table because the name of the table is in the default one. And this is belongs to many again. Then we can access, like for example, if we were to access the story PD, we would say for each instance themes as theme, we would need the theme pivot created at. But this pivot attribute isn't really intuitive, so instead I want to rename it to purchase. So I say here as purchase. So now instead of getting the attributes to the pivot class, we can get it through the purchase. And I also going to make another change that is with timestamps, with which gives me which will update the created at and updated app attributes in the pivot table. And now we also maybe want to have some functions for utilities like we have here in the pivot. So to do that, we are going to say using the purchase class as the instead of a simple object. And now I need to make sure that this purchase, instead of extending model, it extends pivot. I'm going to import this, and we don't need this anymore. So now what I can do is, actually I'm just going to leave it like this. And here, because I'm using IDs here for the purchases, I need to make sure those IDs are auto-incrementing, which means that the first one is 1, then Laravel automatically detects when saved and the next one is 2, etc. They are incrementing. So that's it. For now, we seem to have the database. I will again add test later because it's not really fun to watch something, figure out ways to test something, but I'm going to do two things. First, I'm going to test it with Tinker. First I'm going to migrate again and make it fresh to make sure migration on the server would not fail, and it doesn't. Then I'm going to open the Tinker console and create some users and themes and instances and make sure I can release and access each of them. So user equals new user, actually user create, and let's see, the name, it's Miguel Piedrafita. The email, it's my email. The password needs to be a hash. Let's use 102. And I don't think I need any other attribute, and I don't. User, there is a user that now exists. Let's now make a theme equals theme create, and let's open the theme spec. We have a name, that is going to be example theme. We have the user ID. Laravel has methods of adding the IDs to these things, but we are not going to use it right now because that will go in the controller. Right now I'm just sketching. So this is the user ID. I could also record that to one, but it doesn't matter. The source is going to be test, and the identifier is going to be test1. So I don't need anything else. Outcome rule. Laravel has this annoying thing where you have to specify the things that can be modified in a fillables array to prevent for you saving user, for you, for example, adding a new user and saving all the requests, and then someone could upload the user ID thing. So that's really annoying. I normally disable it globally. I forgot to do it this time. Let's do it now. Instead, I could use user and guard, and that would give get rid of the protection on the user. But if I use model and guard, it gets rid of the protection on every model. That's another pro tip right there. So the problem now is that I have to restart Tinker because it doesn't automatically reload when the code changes, else it would be using the old code. So now my user does already exist, and then my theme exists now. So if I do theme user, I get the user, and if I do user themes, I get my theme. Okay, so that part works. Let's go to an instance now. I'm using create instead of manually instantiating it because creating automatically adds it to the database without the need for me to save it. So let's go to the instance spec. The ID is automatically generated by Laravel because it's an increment. The user ID is going to be my user. The name is going to be my blog. The URL is going to be example.com, and the token should be the key colon the secret that is automatically given by Ghost. So we have an instance. The instance has a user, and the user has instances. That also works. Let's go to the tricky part. We are going to say instance themes attach theme, and this is going to fail because I need to specify price, for example. Let's see how we can do that with this syntax, because that's really cool. there needs to be probably some way to do it here. So I can here pass an array. Let's say the price was $1. Remember, I'm using cents here. And then the other thing I need to specify is the stripe ID that needs to be unique. I don't know specifically the format now, but I'm guessing it's something like it has something here and then some text. So let's see if that worked. Instance themes, and I'm getting the first theme, instance themes purchase. Did I type it wrong? Okay, I need to get the first theme and then get the purchase, and that works. That gives me a purchase class. And the other way, theme, whoops, caps lock, instances, that also gives me the instance. And then if I get the 0, and which is the first one because obviously arrays start at 0, and then I get the purchase, I get it. So everything works perfectly. I'm going to commit. I started naming commits. I remember I used whip there. So let's see. First, I unguarded the models. Then I created some declarations. Actually, let's commit this per model. So first, we added the themes without instances because that didn't exist yet. So add theme. I'm making sure that if there's ever a bug, I can go back to every commit and every commit works by itself. So add theme model. Then I'm going to add the instance model. Now I can use themes because I cannot because that would use the pivot table that doesn't exist yet. So add instance model. Add relationships to the user, and I committed something I didn't want there. Then I'm going to say to add the pivot, and then those relationships, and let's push it, and it should pass the tests I created because right now it's not testing anything. I configured it so now it would test it on Travis CI that I'm using because I have the free GitHub education plan for private repos. So now that that's done, let's mark nothing else to do here, nothing else to do here, nothing else to do here, and here I would still need to add the stripe ID, but that's going to go in the setup stripe on the, so that the database is done, it's completely ready. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to end the stream and wait like 10 minutes so I can get a drink, and then I'm going to go back to streaming and start working on the front end with Tailwind So it's going to be kind of a design and standard Laravel creating routes and everything stream. If you're up for that, that's perfect. If you are not, then I guess I'll see you someone. So if you want to get notified when I go live, and I'm saving this on YouTube, you can subscribe to my YouTube channel. You just have to go to i.miguelpf.me/yt, and that should get you to my YouTube channel. You can also subscribe on Twitch, because I only stream to YouTube when I want to save the video. Like, this is going in a playlist in my channel called Building Connla. But I normally, when I do streams for Blogcast or something I don't want to save, I just stream to Twitch or Periscope. So if you are watching on Twitch right now, you can subscribe. If you can also follow me on Twitter. You can click the bell on my Twitter profile and click get notification when this person goes live, and then you can watch right from Twitter. And that's it. I will see you in 10 minutes. Bye.